Yo people, welcome back to the channel. So Chris Eubank Jr. has officially signed a promotional deal with the Sauerland brothers as he aims to win a world title at middleweight. Eubank Jr. currently holds the interim version of the WBA title. This gives him some leverage within the WBA, whose middleweight title has just recently been vacated by Canelo Alvarez. Eubank Jr. recently stated, "I want all the champions, Ryota Murata, Jermell Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, Gennady Golovkin, put me in the ring with them. I only want to fight the best. This is my time. If you have a belt, I'm coming for you." So clearly some words of intent from Chris Eubank Jr. as he looks to dominate the middleweight division. Whether he'll do that, we'll have to wait and see. Eubank's new promoter, Mr. Sauerland, said he's got all the attributes, talking about Chris Eubank Jr. He's got all the attributes needed to establish his position as one of the biggest names in world boxing. Our first priority is cleaning out the middleweight division. So it's pretty clear that Eubank Jr. is staying at middleweight for the time being. I believe the most likely matchup for Eubank, out of the names he mentioned, is the WBA regular middleweight title holder, Ryota Murata from Japan. Now, Ryota Murata has actually been upgraded to the full super world middleweight title holder for the WBA since Canelo Alvarez, as I mentioned earlier, vacated his middleweight titles. And as Chris Eubank Jr. is the interim champion, he'll be first in line for a mandatory shot at Ryota Murata, and I'm sure that's one he'll take because it's a fight that he can win. Murata is quite well-rounded but limited at the same time. His defense isn't great, which Eubank Jr. would surely take advantage of, using some big power shots that he likes to throw. So Eubank Jr. has been out the ring for a long time, or it seems like a long time, but hopefully some big things are coming for Chris Eubank Jr. in 2021. I mean, it seems like almost yesterday that Chris Eubank Jr. defeated James DeGale at the O2 Arena in London, but it was actually nearly 2 years ago. And since then, he's only had one fight against Matt Korobov, where he won a strange TKO victory in the second round after Korobov suffered some kind of injury. I'm not sure exactly what kind of injury, but he suffered an injury and had to pull out the fight. So that's how Eubank Jr. has gained this interim title status, which puts him in a good position to face Murata. But like I said, Murata's a guy that Chris Eubank Jr. should be beating, and he probably, I'd give him a 99% chance of beating, because Murata's quite limited. As I said, he's got slow hands, he's got slow feet. You know, he likes to throw punches in bunches, but when you've got slow hands and you're throwing long combinations, you're gonna catch some big shots to your chin if you're fighting a guy with quicker hands like you. And in this case, Chris Eubank Jr. does have a lot quicker hands than Ryota Murata. So I'd be picking Eubank Jr. to beat Murata. Murata's lost twice already, which doesn't necessarily mean he's a bad fighter, but, you know, the quality of fighter that he's lost to is not the elite level. So I think Eubank Jr. will make light work of him. I think he might even win by stoppage. Murata's got a good chin, so maybe not, but the stoppage is... there's a big possibility of a stoppage in this fight if it does happen. So yeah guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think that Eubank Jr. will actually get those fights against Gennady Golovkin, Demetrius Andrade, Jermell Charlo, etc.? I mean, if he wanted the Charlo fight, he could have just stayed with the PBC, because he was signed to Al Heyman and PBC, which is the same stable as the Charlos, so I don't see why he's left the PBC. But anyway guys, like the video if you did enjoy, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and remember to turn on post notifications to stay notified whenever I upload a new video.